Today, inshallah, we are going to speak about the activities for teaching the sound system. So we are going to introduce some activities or recommendations for you for teaching the sound system of English, the sound in isolation, how to teach the consonants, the vowels with all their types, how to teach the 24 consonants, the 7 short vowels, the 5 long vowels, and the 7 diphthongs and others. So we recommend some activities that can help in teaching English and let you just convey your message in a shortcut way to the minds of your students, very simply and very easily. So, first of all, you speak about the sound system. So this means that you as teachers must be very fluent and very competent, very proficient in pronouncing the sound system efficiently and correctly. So, in this side, I recommend you just to introduce native speakers inside the class. This is by consulting websites for pronouncing the sound systems of English, like the website in front of you, this one. So it pronounces all sounds of English. So this will make it easy for your students to imitate, because you know imitation is one of the most important conditions of learning the language, either the first language or even the second language. Now, you as teachers can just facilitate the process of understanding the sound system for your students by selecting just suitable activities for teaching sounds. One of these sounds is the minimal pairs. You introduce 2 words which are similar to each other except in one sound, like pen, pen. When I say, for example, pen, which one? The first, yes. Pay, pay. Bound, pound. Okay? So this minimal pair activity can be applicable to all sounds of English, which are similar to each other. For example, the d, t, s, z, z, z. Okay? Sounds which are quite similar to each other can be introduced in minimal pairs, as you see. Also, you can use or associate the sound with the most common graphic representation. We have the long sound or the long vowel E, for example. So you can introduce some words which have this sound very clearly available in the word you introduce. So we can say, for example, seek, see, feet, receive, conceive, defeat, beat, eat, etc. Okay? So this will facilitate the process of understanding and imitation for your students. If you teach adult students, you can introduce the manner and place of articulation for your students, and this can be done through facial movement, like lip rounding and tongue movement, as in the 2 long vowels O, and oo, oo. So your students notice the shape of your lips. They are round. Okay? One of the most useful ways of introducing the sound systems of English inside the class is just through introducing songs and rhymes, mainly with youngsters, young learners. This can be done through tapes by native speakers. So if you need to teach, for example, the trill sound, r, okay? This trill, this flat sound, sorry, trill in Arabic, but flat in English. So this is flat in English. Retroflex in American English. So this sound can be introduced through this sentence, for example. Round and round the rugged rock, the ragged rascal run. So you ask your students to repeat the sentence. Okay? The more adequately they repeat the sentence, the more they understand the pronunciation of the sound r. Okay? You know, the clusterization system is quite difficult for our students, mainly because they fracture it by inserting one of the short vowels of Arabic. Because in Arabic, you know, we have three sounds: the nominative, accusative, and genitive. Okay? So you have your students just introduce the short vowel between the clusters. So instead of saying, for example, street, they say street, or street, or street. Okay? And this is wrong. So you can draw the attention of your students to the system of the clusterization system, of the clusterization or clusters in English. Also, you can draw the attention of your students. I speak about the adult students, the mature students. You can draw their attention to the diphthongs which do not appear in Arabic, in standard Arabic. We know that we only have two diphthongs in Arabic, aw and ay. However, the rest 5 diphthongs are not found in Arabic. So try to introduce these 5 diphthongs to your students and inform them that these sounds don't have equivalents in your mother tongue. Okay? So more focus on these sounds will guarantee the correct pronunciation of them by your students, definitely. You must, since you teach English, you must introduce natural English inside the class. This can be done through introducing tapes, videos, CDs, or even native speakers. You can be invited to come to the class, okay, for chatting with the students, mainly if you teach secondary stage or advanced levels, okay? Also, you can introduce, just for facilitating the process of learning, you can introduce sounds which are identical in both English and Arabic. We have spoken about the place of articulation and told you that the bilabial sounds are quite difficult, mainly because we have 2 sounds which are not found in Arabic, ba and pa sound. What about m and wa sound? Okay? These 2 sounds, the final sounds, m, wa, are found in Arabic. So you can easily bring them. This will let your students quickly absorb and correctly pronounce such 2 sounds. Okay? You have to, again, just for the adult students, you can introduce them or identify them to the articulatory differences between sounds in standard Arabic and English. We've seen the schwa system, which is not found in Arabic, the weak forms. We've seen the clusterization system, which is not found in Arabic. We have only 2 clusters at the end of a word in Arabic. However, in English, we have 7 clusters. We speak about the alveolar sounds, which are dental in Arabic. We speak about sounds which are not available in Arabic, such as the v sound. The v sound is not found in many of the dialects of Arabic or the vernaculars of Arabic. still we have sounds which are introduced in English wrongly. Mainly the hamza, the sound, the glottal sound is not found in English. Okay? So you have your students shift it to English, producing sounds wrongly. Instead of saying, for example, about, you say about, above, above. Okay? Which is wrong. So you can introduce your students to these difficulties at the beginning, just to show them that English is completely different from Arabic. The two languages do not relate to each other, because the first one, English, is Indo-European language, while Arabic is Semitic language, so they do not relate to each other, except only in very few areas. Mainly in grammar, you might find some similarities, which can be identified later once I speak about grammar. We can introduce games. Games are highly recommended inside the class. Okay? So we have a game called Pictures and Sounds. This must be introduced for youngsters, for the young children, for the young pupils. Okay? For example, it can be a picture for a pot and a port, sheep and ship. Okay, you ask, what's this? What's that? Is this a ship? No, it's a sheep. Okay? You can ask your students. You can mark or number the pictures and ask about the number of the ship. It's picture number 2, sheep number 1. So this will make your students easily understand and pronounce perfectly. Hat and hot, cart and kite, somebody thinking, somebody thinking. So you can introduce pictures for these objects or devices. So this will make your students relate between the sound and the picture, completely like the child once learning the materialistic devices. Okay? Once learning the mother tongue. This is called language acquisition. So hat and hat. You can ask your students, do you live in a hat? No, I live in a hut. I wear a hat. Okay? I wear a hat, sorry. Okay? Cart, kite. You can ask the same questions. So this will activate your class. Okay? And draw the attention of your students to you. Okay? Do people wear on their heads hats? No, they wear hats. Does anyone live in a hat? No. We live in huts. Okay? And so on and so forth. As I mentioned, the minimal pairs activity is very, very important. You can introduce it also for differentiating between two vowels. Pot, pot, spot, sport, shot, short, caught, caught. Okay? So you can use this activity for differentiating between the short vowel and the long vowel. Okay? This can be done through the following steps. Teacher says, for example, hot, got, hot. So, in this, your students notice the place of articulation. Once you say hot, got, hot. Okay, we speak about the O sound. the shape of your lips, okay? Whether they are rounded, for example, flat, or unrounded, etc., or semi-rounded. Here you have, you as teachers can repeat the sounds and let your students follow you, repeat after you. Got, hot, what, offer. And here you can use the body language, okay? You can let them notice the movement of your lips, the movement of your mouth, so you can, in pronouncing this sound, you can ask them, open your mouth and make your lips round. It's a short, oh, 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 oh. My sound is open and my lips are rounded. So it's short sound. It's a short sound. Then you can ask your students to read a list of words containing this short vowel. Then you can generate this idea or this system on a number of other words. Okay? You can ask your students to just select or pronounce some other words from their own. I mean words containing the same short sound, O. This also can be applicable to the long vowel U. I say, for example, floor, O, floor. Speak about the long vowel O. Floor, low, boat. Okay? And you can ask your students to notice the place of articulation of the long vowel O. Okay? Then you ask your students to repeat some words like water, more, court, fort, which contain this long vowel. Okay? Then you ask your students to pronounce the sound and inform them or describe the shape of their mouth. Okay? The shape of their lips. The places of articulation of the sound O. Push your lips, for example, push your lips forward and make them round. O, O. This is long vowel or long sound. Then you ask some of students to read a list of words containing the sound or the long vowel O. Okay? You can now put the short vowel O and the long vowel O into words using the minimal pair activity. Pot, port, cot, court, spot, sport, shot, short. And then you can appoint some of the students to read these words. Okay? You get that? Now you can pronounce another activity, pronouncing some words, and you ask your students to circle the word which is pronounced. Okay? Pot, port, short, spot, pot, coat. So you ask your students to circle the words which you pronounce, and then you correct them. Okay? You move around and see their actions, whether they did well or not. The same thing, you have a number of words. You can read some of them, and you ask your students to circle the words which are pronounced. Okay? These are some activities for teaching the sound system, but still we have lots of activities to be introduced inside the class. It depends on the level of your students, whether you teach at the junior school, intermediate, or secondary school classes. Okay? We still have other activities for teaching the suprasegmental phonemes, the stress, the intonation, the rhythm, etc. Let's see the stress system. which I have already explained to you. Okay? First, you understand that the stress system is quite difficult, mainly because the system of stress in Arabic is completely divergent from it in English. Okay? So we have weak forms in English, but we don't have weak forms in Arabic. In the sentence, you have the rhythm of the sentence as stressed timed rhythm, or it is of time intervals, as we mentioned previously. This means that not every single word stressed in English, but Arabic is syllabic intervals, so every single word is stressed. كتب الولد تقريرا جيدا. So كتب الولد تقريرا جيدا. You have 4 words. Every single word of these is stressed. The big boy has written a good report. The big boy has written a good report. This means, in this sentence, not every single word is stressed. Okay? We have boy, written, report. Okay? 3 words only. Mainly because English is bound to time intervals. And the stress of English, or the rhythm of English, is bound to time intervals, not to syllable intervals. Okay? So, after explaining these differences to your students, you can introduce the stress system through introducing activities for them to understand. You first must recommend them to learn the stress of every single word once they hear it. This means that once you have a new word, you have to understand the pronunciation of such word with its stress, according to your dictionary, the pronunciation dictionary, for example. You can, if you teach adults, you can give generalizations about the rules of stress, like what I did while explaining the lecture to you. We introduced lots of generalizations. I told you that words ending in T-I-O-N, S-I-O-N, or I-C have the stress in the second syllable from the end. Words containing long vowels or diphthongs have the stress on either the long vowel or the diphthong. Okay? Yani every word containing a diphthong has the stress on this diphthong. If it contains a long vowel, the stress is on the long vowel. And so on, so forth. We introduce lots of rules about stress in the last 2 lectures. So you can introduce these generalizations for your students to let them memorize, to let them easily memorize the rules, okay? And by the run of time, they will pronounce English subconsciously, like you pronounce Arabic. Because once we pronounce Arabic, we have rules, which now are scientifically called universal grammar rule. This is Chomsky. Okay, you are familiar with the government binding theory and see the modules of universal grammar. So we have mental rules available in mind. This is in your mental dictionary. So you find that shall produce a number of words, okay, without hesitating or without stopping. You can pronounce or produce whatever sentences you like. But you do not commit errors or mistakes when pronouncing Arabic, because you follow mental rules available on your mental dictionary. This is why, because you speak Arabic subconsciously, you master Arabic, you are very fluent in Arabic. So the time will come, if you follow proper ways of teaching, you'll find your students pronounce English subconsciously and very, very fluently and correctly. Okay? The rules will be stated in their minds, and they will generate and produce English very productively. Okay? So try to introduce generalizations for the sound system and the stress and the other suprasegmental phonemes of English to your students. Once you teach your classes, try to record the mistakes your students commit. Once you count the mistakes, you can introduce exercises on these mistakes. Speak about the sound system. So once you introduce the mistakes through exercises to your students, this will draw their attention to their mistakes. Otherwise, if you have some individuals who commit the same mistakes using, for example, stereotyping error or what is called fossilization, you can invite this student to your teacher's room, to your office, or you can see him just in the 5-minute break between classes and just remind him or her about his or her mistakes. This will make you very intimate to your student, will familiarize you to your students, will familiarize the process of teaching to your students. I am sure that this friendly way will make your student very confident, okay, and will encourage him or her to understand and to follow you in your English classes very, very punctually, very neatly, and very attractively. You can let them also listen to you and mark the stressed words. I love to row in my big blue boat. I love to row in my big blue boat. So we have row, big, boat. Okay? My big blue boat, my big blue boat. I love to row in my big blue boat out in the deep blue sea. Okay? So you can, once you repeat these sentences, you notice, you let your students notice your pronunciation. Okay? When can you pronounce these words in high pitch or low pitch, primary stress or weak stress, etc. Okay? And then you ask them to repeat after you or to read individually. So if I ask some of you to read these 4 sentences, who could manage to read them? Who could manage to read these 4 sentences to us? Just anyone try to be courageous enough to read the 4 sentences. Who can be? ايش رايك؟ I love to row in my big blue boat. Next? Yes. My big blue boat, my big blue boat. I love to row in my big blue boat. Yes? Out in the deep blue sea. Yes?
I love to row my big blue boat. My big blue boat, my big blue boat. I love to row my big blue boat. Out in the deep blue sea.
Excellent. So you have her voice rises just in these marked words, these stressed words. Okay? Then her voice turns down a little bit in the other words. So these are what is called the weak forms. And remember that we have weak forms in English. You can generalize this to your students, stating that all prepositions, pronouns, who could just remind me? Conjunctions, one-syllable word, articles or determiners are weak forms. So your students can easily observe this. You can ask your students to listen to you while reading these sentences and making dots under the stressed words. Again, the same words. Who can read? Who can read? Yeah. Hmm? عيد تاني. Sails. Out of the deep blue sea. So you ask your students to put dots under the stressed words, okay? And try to correct them directly. Now, the contrastive stress. The contrastive stress of English. It's optional. You can put it wherever you like, just to stress the meaning of a certain word in the sentence. I gave her the book. 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 Okay? Who could read them? The 4 sentences. Yes. I gave her the book. Okay? So these 4 sentences differ semantically one from another. They are completely different in meaning, mainly because of the location of the stress, of the contrastive stress. Okay? This activity is very, very important and very easy. So you stress, you find out the stressed words in the dialogue. So you are Ahmed. No, doctor, I'm Ali. Sorry, no, Ali. You are 12 years old. No, I'm 13. I'm 13 years old. Okay? Oh dear. And you've got a bad headache? And you've got a bad headache? No, I have got a bad earache. A bad earache. Okay? He has inflammation in his ears. Okay? So we have earache, 13, Ali. So these, and also Ahmed. So, you are Ahmed? No, doctor, I'm Ali. Sorry. Now, Ali, you are 12 years old. No, I'm 13. I'm 13 years old. Oh dear. And you've got a bad headache? No, I've got a bad earache. Okay? So, you ask your students to underline the stressed words in the dialogue. Okay? Then, you train them to read the dialogue very correctly using the stress system. Who could read this dialogue? I need 2 students. Number 1, number 2. Okay, you can start. So you are the doctor, and you are the second speaker. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, doctor, I'm Ali.
Sorry now. Ali, you are 12 years old?
No, I'm 13 years old.
Oh dear. And you have got a bad headache?
No, I have got a bad earache.
Earache. Okay. Also you have this. Again, you have 14, 40, 17. Okay, 17. So you can just ask your students to repeat after you, and then to read the dialogue, focusing on the stressed words. Okay? The number from 13 up to 19 has the stress on the last syllable, in. Okay? 14, 15. Okay? Again, you can introduce words and you ask your students to mark only the stressed syllables. Animal, the first syllable. Banana, disagree. It is disagree, the suffix, the prefix. You can find this also in these words: Saturday, paragraph, calendar, magazine, principal, tomato, potatoes, important, pollution, policeman. So you can ask your students to mark the syllable in these words. So I hope that some of you just prepared some activities for teaching the sound system. Could you? Did you prepare any activities for teaching the sound system of English? I asked you last time just to prepare some activities for that. Did you do that? We have lots of activities for teaching the sound system. These are your aids inside the class. You cannot teach deductively because you know the sound system, as I explained it to you, is quite complicated. If you just give the sound system in the form of lecturing to your class, this will never let them understand. Okay? Because you have to teach English contextually, inductively, not deductively. Okay? So you have to introduce communicative activities to your classes, contextual teaching processes to your classes. You have to introduce very, very suitable games and activities for understanding the sound system. Okay? And better to have these activities or these games to introduce authentic materials. Materials from the class, from the environment. Okay? Or maybe from the same materials conveying the same culture of the students. The more you approach the environment of the students or the culture of your students, the more they understand you. So let them speak. And for you, you stand or you stand as a listener or sometimes as a monitor to the class. Okay? But keeping the class silent and letting you speak alone in the class, this comes out with negative process of teaching. Okay? Right. Do you have any other activities or games for facilitating the process of the sound system? The process of teaching the sound system to your class. Do you have? I hope you could just prepare this for next time. Prepare some activities in your flashes. Okay, and come ready for presenting these activities to your students. Okay? And remember also for next time, we are going to explain the intonation system of English. For the intonation, we have different types or different systems in both Arabic and English. We have 6 types of intonation in English, while in Arabic we have only 3 types. Okay? The function of the intonation differ from one sentence to another. So one mood to another. So we have, for example, we have a grammatical function for the intonation system. It differentiates between the declarative sentence and the WH or the question. Okay? It reflects the attitude of the speaker. Once you are excited, once you are happy, once you express exclamation or sorrow or admiration or whatever. So you have lots of feelings. These can be conveyed by the intonation system. Okay? Also, you can see this in producing or differentiating between the grammatical features of sentences or of words. So we have these three functions of intonation that differentiate between your sounds. Sometimes you introduce declarative sentence. John is here. John is coming. Then you say, John is coming. So this means that the second sentence is a question. The first one is a statement sentence, declarative sentence. You differentiate between the two sentences by using the intonation. The most important types of intonations are the rising intonation and the falling intonation. It is either rise or fall. So next time we are going to touch this point in detail. Prepare it very well and remember to come with some games for teaching the sound system. Okay? That's it. Thank you now. See you next time.